Okay, so hi everyone. My name's Zack Bentata. I'm a co-founder at FairXYZ. And today I want to tell you a quick story about how, together with my two best friends, we launched the first ever government-backed NFT. So I think it's important to give a backstory as to how this all came about. I actually started my career in a very, very different world to Web3. I was at Goldman Sachs, where I was a trader there for quite a few years, until my best friend joined the Instagram team for NFTs. So all the headlines you guys have seen about Meta, Instagram, NFTs in the past couple of days, that was all him. And he just started in the team, I think it was in February of 2021, so the space was just really starting to pick up, Top Shot had come out. And he reached out to me, right, and he said, hey, look, NFTs look like a pretty interesting thing to look at. So we started getting very involved in this space, probably in the same way that a lot of you have, right? So you start buying NFTs, selling NFTs, collecting, started getting involved in communities, so Twitter, Discord, the whole spiel. But both of us, we spend quite a lot of our time during our jobs, I'd say 12 to 14 hours a day coding. So I was a quant trader, meaning that I built models that would trade, so I'd be coding all day long. He was a data scientist in the NFTs team at Instagram, so he would spend his whole day coding. So we started getting involved in the space as builders. We'd help out creators that were trying to launch their own NFT collections. We'd help them with their artwork, with the decentralization of their artwork, their smart contracts, their websites, the full end-to-end experience. At the same time, we were quite involved as minters in this space. We try to mint NFTs, and I don't know if you guys have ever gone through this, but gas wars, so for example, Yuga Labs last year, this year actually, and famously, around $160 million lost in gas fees during the drop of Otherside, which is absolutely insane. So the minting experience we deemed was actually suboptimal for most creators, and that's really how we came about with the idea of FairXYZ. FairXYZ being a no-code platform that enables creators to launch completely end-to-end NFT collections without having to rely on coders at all. But at the same time, being able to offer to them a very good experience that they could then in turn offer to their collectors. So no gas wars, no failed transactions, no high transaction fees, and just overall an optimal minting experience. So we started the company in February of 2022. My boss thought I was crazy when I told him I was quitting. His boss thought he was crazy when he told him he was quitting. And we also had a third co-founder join from Facebook, who's one of my best friends from Spain, actually. I'm Spanish. And it was in the second week of having started the company. At the time, we were working out of a cram little office in North Finchley on top of a bakery. And the war in Ukraine broke out. And seeing the impact of armed conflict on the life of innocent civilians, we knew we wanted to help in some way. So we were out in a pub one night, Freemasons Arms for anyone's wondering, and one of our friends said, hey, I've just read an article in the Financial Times about how Ukraine's trying to fundraise for war relief, and they're trying to do it through crypto, so you should probably reach out. We thought about it, we actually spoke about it until like 2 in the morning of whether we could even do that. And then we decided, you know what, screw it, let's actually go ahead and do it. So we sent out what's probably the coldest email I've sent in my life to literally the Ukrainian government.gov's email address saying, we're a team of builders in London. We've just started a company that's going to enable creators to launch NFT collections. We want to help. Now, there's a beauty to taking approaches like this, because what we later found out is that there were lots of founders that thought about having the same idea and actually going ahead and doing it. But everyone thought, you know what, there's probably already someone else doing it. I'm too small to do this. Why would they ever work with me? Turns out, what do you know, no one had reached out because everyone thought exactly this. And 2 hours later, we got a call back from the Ministry of Innovation in Ukraine saying we were on. Let's have a call today and discuss how we can make this happen. So we jumped on a call with them, and it was quite surreal. It's like 3 friends in a small office. We've got piles of coffee kind of all around us, and we're speaking to the Ministry of Innovation in Ukraine in the middle of a war, which was just completely surreal. And they told us that they actually did have an idea for an NFT collection in mind. The idea was actually quite simple, but I thought it was beautiful. They wanted to essentially use artwork and the blockchain to immortalize different moments throughout the war. They want to call it the war line. And it would all be represented through a project called Meta History. But they had two big problems. The first one is that they're obviously in the middle of a conflict, and they don't really have time to go find developers that can actually build a collection for them. And the second thing was that it's very likely that Russia is going to go ahead and attack. So from our perspective, this was kind of the exact use case that we'd envisioned when we created our platform. Here we had a creator that essentially wanted to launch a collection. They didn't want to launch 1 or 2 NFTs. They wanted a big collection. They wanted their own minting website. But at the same time, they were also very concerned about how smooth the mint would be. Because if Russia's attacking you whilst you're minting, trust me, you ain't selling. So we told them, look, we're building exactly what you need. We're not ready yet, but give us a couple of weeks and let's see what we can cook up. Came back to us a couple hours later and they said, we're on, let's go with it. Now, the weeks that followed, I just want to really contextualize this. There were still 3 of us. We were still in the small office. We had no funding, no way of knowing how this was going to work. But it was all quite surreal. So we started speaking to people in the Ministry of Innovation, Ukrainian artists. We started speaking to marketeers. Suddenly, Forbes picks up on the announcement, and they made a huge kind of article on it, which started getting loads of media attention. It started getting featured across loads of media outlets. And for us, it was like quite an overwhelming thing. Now, Ukraine had really hammered home the idea that it was very likely that Russia was going to try to attack our platform during the launch. We thought, there might be a few people here and there that might not like it, but what's the odds that someone's really going to try to wage war against 3 boys in Finchley? Then came launch day. And as I just said, we had been warned about the possibility of a Russian attack coming against our platform. What we weren't expecting at around 11 p.m. in the evening, just as the mint had just gone live, was that we'd be in full-scale cyber warfare against Russia. So the sale started, NFTs started selling, it was all looking great, feedback was positive, people were loving the experience, and all of a sudden, so we had kind of 2 screens, right? So we had, the first screen said, how many NFTs are being sold right now? So we hit 100, 200, 300, it was going very well. And then the other screen we had, how many requests is our server getting? Because that's a great indicator of whether you're getting attacked or not. So the first metrics were normal, right? We had 1,000 requests, 2,000 requests. Suddenly it went up to 100,000, 1 million, 2 million. That's fine, right? You expect a lot of traffic. Most people just aren't going to mint. They're there to see. But, up until this point, it's pretty normal. And all of a sudden, the graph completely changes in scale, and we see that we're receiving 1 billion malicious requests against our platform. Myself and my 2 co-founders, we start looking at where this is all coming from, and you can probably guess where it came from, but it was mostly coming from Russia. 1 billion, 2 billion malicious requests. At this point, we're really, really panicking because we've stress tested our systems. We had Ukraine try to hack us as well as a test as to whether we could actually sustain the attack, which we'd done well for, but we tested our systems up until 200 million visits, or 200 million really requests against our server in a few seconds, not 1 billion. 3 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion. We went up to 20 billion malicious requests coming against our platform out of Russia to bring down the mint, which I can tell you was, to put it bluntly, fucking scary. Yeah? There's no 2 ways to put it. But today I'm pretty proud to say that we actually were able to sustain the attack. We didn't have a single second of downtime, so take that, Russia. And we were able to raise just under $1 million for the Ukrainian government in a matter of a few hours, which is honestly a pretty remarkable experience. Thanks very much. And today we're just trying to expand this experience, the idea of a creator not having to rely on coders such as ourselves to really be able to provide a good minting experience to both themselves and their audience, to really be empowered, to put their artwork out there, to tell a story, to create a community the same way that Ukraine did. That's exactly what FairXYZ is doing today. In the past month, we've had 2,000 collections that have launched with us, all artists, small creators telling their narratives and selling artwork. And what's beautiful is that we're not just really empowering them by the fact that they can launch a collection in 5 minutes and it's like smooth and all that cool stuff. It's the fact that we're also understanding that they're collectors. When they come in through our platform, they're also getting that optimal experience, which the space really needs. So we're really here to empower the creator economy. We're here to empower the long tail of creators that need that boost, that need that support, don't have the financial budget to go ahead and hire 6 developers that work on them with the project. And we're really here to make a dent in the space. So thanks very much.
Thank you. A hand for Zack. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. You did great.